Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome. What is my chair doing? Welcome to Lawsplaining the Interwebs. I am your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota. And, oh man, I am so sorry for being late. Got some weird stuff going on. I can tell you it's safe. This is a safe place where you guys won't make fun of me or anything like that. No, I'm kidding, of course. You should definitely make fun of me almost all the time, if not all the time. My dad messaged me a few minutes ago, and he asked if I knew this guy. He gave me a name, which of course I knew this guy. I went to high school with him, and then he says he died. I was like, oh my God. Like, not that it doesn't particularly affect me because this guy and I weren't friends. We weren't like enemies or anything. We didn't get along or not get along, right? We walked in mostly separate circles. But I knew him. And I don't know what he was like as a guy. Kids are assholes. So who cares? He's probably a decent person now, or he was, I guess. But now he's dead, and it's like, man, I'm 38. So he was 38-ish, maybe 37 still. I don't know when his birthday was. Like I said, we weren't close, but gosh, it's just it's fast. So I was just talking with Lady Rackets about that. And how short life can be. And don't have a midlife crisis. Man, my midlife crisis at 4 or whatever. And then I just had one every 3 years afterwards because, well, no, you actually have to have an exponentially decreasing midlife crisis to maximize the amount of enjoyment, right? Because every year that you grow older is 2 years. So every year that if you have midlife crisis at 1, then you're expected to live to 2. But if you have one at 2, you're expected to live all the way to 4. So you can't just linearly increase them. Otherwise, the distance between them will grow. I think that's how that works. So it's not good. I think you should just have them all the time. Decided to have another baby. No, dear Lord. I said life was short. Oh. No, we were just talking about that shortness and what it means and who you devote your time to, who you devote your attention to, surround yourself with good people you want to be around, and people who you don't want to be around or who don't want to be around you. Don't suffer it, right? That's the type of stuff we were talking about. Very deep philosophical conversations. Conversations with Lady Rackets. So yeah. That being said, we'll be spending some time with someone tonight who I don't know if we should want to or not, because I don't know him that well, but we're going to learn about him. His name is Joe the Lawyer. Joe the Lawyer. This is why I have these stupid headphones on. I'm waiting for Joe the Lawyer to pop in. The Hangout is open and receptive to him like a wildling woman. God, all the freaking Game of Thrones references, I feel so bad for making all of them because they're just cheesy jokes. But it's happening. It's gonna keep on happening. But yeah. So anyway, Joe the Lawyer. He's a guy with a YouTube channel. He has 2 YouTube channels, actually. One is called Common Sense Academy, and then his new channel is Joe the Lawyer. He happens to be a lawyer, and he's trying to get some lawyerly show topics going on YouTube, which I think is pretty cool. I know someone else who has done that, and I respect that person most of the time. It depends how many shots of liquor he's had. So, So we're going to talk about Joe, or talk with Joe, about all sorts of subjects tonight. I'm going to get to know him and his practice areas. We'll talk about the stuff he likes to talk about on YouTube, which is sovereign citizen stuff on his Common Sense Academy. I don't know what he proposes to talk about more on his Joe the Lawyer show, but both those links are in the description for when he pops in. That being said, until he does, let's talk about today. Today is the 1-year anniversary of Vic Mignogna's situation starting up, so to speak. I guess that's one way to put it. The situation with Vic Mignogna. Today is the 1-year anniversary of that, and I know Flash and Tug I think they had a stream about that today. I will probably talk more extensively about this tomorrow, mainly because I had Joe lined up for today, and so I figured we'd wait on the rest of it until tomorrow. So we're going to mostly talk about that then. I'm not 100% sure how I'm approaching that show. It might just be a walkthrough of things that have happened over the past year. A real dive through, I guess, where it started. Joe's in the chat. He can't see the Hangout. Oh my gosh. Did I send the wrong thing? 1 second. Sorry, Joe. All right, Joe, if you're out there in Chatland, I just I just emailed you the Hangout link again. If not, oh, hey, welcome. I've got you muted for 1 second, and then I'm just going to finish up this intro monologue, and then we'll get rolling. All right. So Joe is with me. You can say hi if you want, but he'll be on in just a second. But anyway, so I'm not 100% sure on how I'm going to approach that show yet. I may also bring on a guest. I haven't really decided what that's going to look like, but we'll be talking. Tomorrow is going to be Vic. We're going to be talking a lot about Vic, and so if that's what you want to hear, come watch, I guess. Maybe we'll throw in some spicy clips or something. But for now, what's a but for? Let's get this thing tracked over. Joe, do you happen to have headphones? I can hear you. I've got you muted still, but I'm getting some feedback on the mic. Yeah, no worries. Take your time. You got one of those fancy snowballs. No, I think, man, it's coming through a little bit. Yeah, you're fine. Again, there's a little bit of feedback. We'll try it out. We'll see how it goes. Let me get you turned up here, and we'll get you switched over. This is Tech-splaining the interwebs. This is how we sound engineer on the fly. Okay. 1 second. Here we go. All right. Here's Joe. Hey, you're on camera. Welcome.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. So Joe, you, as I was saying earlier, are a YouTuber as well as a real lawyer. That's your behind you there. Is that your logo for your office?
Yeah, that's my logo for my office, Nick. Yep.
Gotcha.
JPL, Joe Palmetto Law.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about today, man?
What do you want to talk about? So you kind of nailed it talking about me earlier. I got 2 channels. I got one, it's Common Sense Academy. It focuses on sovereign citizens and First Amendment auditors. I don't know if you guys ever talk about that. But I'm starting a new channel, Joe the Lawyer, where I want to talk about more general legal topics, sort of like what you do. I've been watching your show the last few nights. You know, you touch on a lot of different stuff.
Oh, yeah. I touch everything except kids.
Good to hear. Good to hear.
No, it's it's a weird place, this YouTube law thing.
Sure.
It's fun because you get to constantly be compared to people that you despise, and because I don't know about you, I hate pretty much every lawyer I've ever met.
I hate a lot of them. Absolutely.
Well, good. This will be great.
Yeah.
So why don't we start? Tell us a little bit about yourself, your practice, how long you've been practicing law, what you focus on, that type of stuff.
Sure. So I heard you say 38. I'm 37. After high school, I went into the Air Force. So I was in the Air Force for 4 years, and then I got out, went to undergrad law school, and I graduated 2013. So I've been practicing for about 6 years. You may have been an attorney longer, Nick. I don't know.
No, actually, I'm slightly younger attorney-wise than you.
Okay.
I'm in my 5th year of practice. So
okay,
we were both late starters. What were you? What were you doing before?
I was in the military 4 years. I was in the Air Force.
Sure.
I worked on jets. Everybody asked me if I fly. I go, no, I didn't fly. And then I went to school. So I was just basically a student full time. I worked in the restaurant business while I was putting myself through school, and graduated. I think I was 31. I'm 37 now. So I was 31, and I've been practicing for about 6 years. And so just really those 4 years of Air Force. My practice now is mainly criminal defense. I do some personal injury. I do, general civil litigation. I've been getting into family law, which is an absolute nightmare.
Oh, God. Peace be upon you. You're done.
Yeah. Thank you, Nick. Thank you. But there's a lot of it, and there's money there, so I've kind of been getting into it. But mostly I do criminal defense.
Okay. Personally, I like criminal defense the most of any practice area I messed with. Is that the same for you, or did you just kind of end up there? How's that work out?
Well, in law school, I focused on criminal. Like I interned at the public defenders. I'm in Pittsburgh. I see you're in Minnesota, right?
Yeah. I'm in literal coitus right now, the frozen hell.
Yeah, we haven't had much snow. But yeah, in law school, I worked for the public defender's office and not like the Office of Conflict Counsel. So I did a lot of criminal defense in law school, and I liked it. I knew I wanted to be in court, so that's kind of why I went that path initially.
Sure.
Out of law school, I worked for 2 civil litigation firms because that's where I was able to find jobs. And when I went on my own, I was going to do civil litigation. And I started working with another attorney who did criminal, and he just started giving it to me. And it just kind of took off, like it snowballed. And I enjoy it. And it turned out, too, that I like it. I like it better than pretty much any other practice area. So that's my focus now.
Very, very cool. So let's see. I'm trying to remember how I do interviews. Just whenever I lose my way, I just go, okay, remember you're bad at this, and everything will be fine. Okay,
Sure.
so you do criminal law, you've done civil litigation, you have stumbled into family law, which I personally would recommend anybody who does to get the hell out as fast as possible. I never wanted to do any family law, and the stuff I've done has always been for family or friend. And
Right.
I just hate it. I hate it. I would rather deal with criminals than people going through divorce or custody stuff, because they're way worse than murderers.
They are a bigger pain in the ass to work with.
Yes.
Like I can talk to my criminal clients and they'll be like, okay, let's put a plan together. Let's strategize. Da 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 da. Like you know, and they'll listen to me. Like these family law clients they don't listen to me, and nothing makes sense. I'm like, okay.
No, it's yeah,
It's your
because
money.
they're stuck with so much anger, right? And they're the most important, that's the thing I have to remember with family law. It's like, okay, the most important things in these people's lives are falling apart right now. That's why they suck. That's why they suck.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I had a hearing today, and we got zero result from it.
Sure.
And I kind of had a feeling it was going to be that way. And there was just a bunch of arguing, and the client spent a bunch of money, and I felt bad, but as I was upfront about it, you know, I let her know, I let him know it was going to be an uphill battle, and we went in there, and that seems like 75% of the time in family law, I'm just fighting because they want me to fight. And I tell them, I'll be like, look, we're not necessarily going to get a result here. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's like you want to grab them and say, you can't afford this fight, save it for the other one. Like,
right.
Is the Ottoman is it that important? No, it's not.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess going from there, what got you into YouTube? Now, you were talking about on your Common Sense Academy channel, it's pretty specialized that you, and I noticed a lot of sovereign citizen stuff on there.
Right.
So I guess talk to me about sovereign citizens and the Common Sense Academy and how this thing came about.
Sure. So I got, I'm a big fan of YouTube, as I imagine you are, Nick, and there were a lot of creators the last couple of years that I've been following and watching. And so I said, hey, I'm going to make my own channel. It doesn't take necessarily that much time. So I made the channel with the intention of doing more general legal type stuff, sort of in your vein. And I started out doing that. And I was taking feedback. You watch videos on how to increase your audience, how to make a good channel, etc. They said, well, take feedback from your viewers.
I haven't watched any of those. I legitimately don't. I don't.
You're probably better off. You're doing well.
I'm like, wait a minute. I started to once, and it was this thing. It's like how to grow your YouTube channel, and I clicked on the channel, and I'm like, this has 900 followers.
Yeah, you're right, and you're doing very well.
But no, so I just resolved to be bad at it personally.
Okay,
but that's me. That's how I do things. And plus, if they told me all the right stuff to do, I would inherently do the wrong because I have problems with authority. So I wouldn't listen. But okay, so you're saying take feedback from the viewers, right?
Right. So
I believe that's probably good advice to an extent.
Yeah, and it kind of well, let me just tell you what happened. So I started my channel as a general law channel, and mostly I was just saying, well, I'm going to have this channel. I'm going to inform people about criminal defense, okay, and just see if it catches on, see if people like it. So I was making videos like that, letting friends, family, putting it on Facebook, and I had like, I don't know, 100 subscribers maybe, and I would get like 30 hits a video, okay? And I wasn't doing much live. Well, you can't even do live at first. Anyway, I made a video. One of my comments was, hey, actually I went live, and this one guy was like, what do you know about sovereign citizens? So
I know I love them.
Yeah, I actually knew something because, as I told you, I worked in the public defender's office.
Oh, yeah.
So I used to see them come into courts, and only a couple of times, but every time they would bring them in, the sheriff's deputy and everybody in the courthouse would be like, oh, everybody start rolling their eyes. Oh, here they go. And they get up there and they start arguing with the judge. I'd seen this 2 or 3 times. So I said, okay. And if you look at my channel, you go back to the old ones, I said, I'm going to make a video. I did like a 20-minute video just on the sovereign citizens. Okay. And like their ideas and why it doesn't work. And so I make this 20-minute video, And I think what happened, because you can see the analytics, is someone dropped it on a Reddit thread.
Yeah.
Okay. And I got like 1,000 hits in a day. So I started to make more. And every video I made with sovereign citizens was just taken off, was just boom, boom, boom.
People can't get enough of them. They're too funny.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
It's like you're in a court demanding them to exercise their authority to let you go while you tell them you don't acknowledge their authority to hold you or let you go.
Right.
While you're in handcuffs.
While you're in handcuffs, exactly. Exactly.
You don't have the right to tell me I am free man. Sure you are, pal.
Right. It is a riot. And what people really like is when they're dealing with the police, and the police don't take shit from them, and it's just like bing, bang, boom, and the broken windows, and I'm all in the world now. But that's how that channel turned into that.
Sure. Man, I love and hate those videos because I'm not going to speak for you, but as far as for me, my experiences in criminal defense with police are not always pleasant or magical. We'll say they're demystifying in many ways. And so like I watched the sovereign citizens guy and I'm like, I want to be on your side, but just please stop being like this, because what this guy's doing to you, he's being a complete prick and you don't deserve it, but you're making yourself deserve it really quickly.
Yes. And I feel the same way. I feel the same way as you do, Nick. And in my videos, I try to point out, and a lot of people seem to like this. Some of them just come because they just want to laugh at the sovereign citizens. Okay. But I try to point out, I say, look, they're on to something here. Or I'll say, yeah, they shouldn't consent to their vehicle being searched. They shouldn't consent to this. And I kind of try to analyze the situation, but also say, well, this is wrong legally. This is wrong legally. This is wrong legally. This isn't true. This amendment doesn't say that. And people seem to get a kick out of my analysis. Some people don't like it at all. Some would rather just watch the videos. And I say, and they tell me to shut the F up. I mean, I got a guy who's like, shut that. He's like, he goes, your videos would be a lot better if you just shut the F up. And I got that comment the other day. I was like, this is the best comment that I've had yet. So, I try to break it down and analyze it. And I feel you. I'm like rooting for them at times, but also I'm like, dude, like you can't just, this isn't going to work, so.
Right. So you're not a sovereign citizen, to be clear.
I am not a sovereign citizen. They're out there though. It's
hard to be a licensed attorney and be a sovereign citizen. Actually, funny story, maybe you might appreciate it. My buddy really wants me to check out this like website and blog of a guy who is not a licensed attorney who helps people do all their legal documents and proceed pro se. And I'm like, he's like, oh man, you got to check him out. You should talk to this guy. I'm like, you realize that guy violates the law on a daily basis. And like, I legitimately can't endorse his activity because we have a licensing requirement specifically because we have no idea whether or not this guy knows what he's talking about. Now, in principle, I think the licensing requirement for lawyers is maybe a bit ridiculous. But at the same time, it is the system that we have. And so when you have someone working outside of it to give advice, but not legal advice, but it definitely is, like he helps people fill out forms. Like that is under several court decisions. That alone is legal advice. So you're doing this without a license, telling people that they don't need a lawyer. They just need you. Okay.
Yeah. And that's part of what I cover too, because a lot of these sovereign citizens, the people put this out there, they're doing it for money, right? They make these little booklets. You go on Amazon.com. It's called the Common Law Handbook. It's $5 a book. Okay. Somebody's selling that, making money off it. The one video I did recently, the girl's literally reading from the book while the police are like, open your door, show us your ID. And she's reading from this book of fake law. and she paid money for it. And she's about to get the window in her car broken out because she's reading a fake law book. And I'm like, wow. And so, I kind of try to cover all aspects of it, and it just took off. So I started the other channel because I get so much traction with that stuff. I wanted to keep it on that channel, sort of specialized. And I want to do another channel where I can talk about more general legal stuff. So that's the Joe the Lawyer channel that I just started up.
Gotcha. So I have a humble request.
Sure.
We're still getting a lot of that feedback. And
Okay.
It really detracts from the listening experience. Do you have a pair of headphones anywhere around?
I don't know if these work.
I don't know. Maybe.
Hang on a second. Let me see. Hey, can you hear me, Nick?
I can. You went digital for a second. But you actually froze. Okay, I think your computer's catching up from connecting the Bluetooth. But yeah, I don't hear me anymore. So that is a good solution if it works for you.
It works for me. Yeah, I can hear you.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. So on the new channel, you want to cover kind of general legal topics. I've compiled a list of a couple things that I was thinking maybe we could talk about. I just want to get your opinions on it.
Sure.
Because it's a weird world out there. I've noticed there's so much legal news every day that you really can do. You can have infinite number of general law shows and not get enough. But I have to ask the most important question. Aside from me, because I know I'm the top of everybody's mind. Who's your favorite internet lawyer?
So I've only recently begun searching internet lawyers. I don't know who you know and who we know. One of the first people I found was Steve Leto. Have you seen Leto's Law?
He does a lot of lemon law stuff, right? And automobile law. I haven't watched a ton just because I'm not big into cars, but I found him when I was covering a case a while back. It was Domino's Pizza. This YouTube guy named Sam Crack, who restores cars, bought one of the old Domino's cars from salvage from an insurance company, and it was the ones that had the pizza in the side of the car, the pizza oven in the side of the car, so they could deliver a pizza that would be in the oven staying warm, and they'd pull it right out as they drove up, and so they deliver you this pizza with like melty cheese and everything. So he finds this thing and he restores it, and then probably the franchise owner of the Domino's who actually salvaged the car to the insurance company realizes his mistake, and he sends a threatening letter to the YouTube guy and says, "You've got to return that car. It's ours. You can't use it or we'll sue you for trademark infringement." And it was this wild thing. And so, I was in researching that whole issue. I noticed that Leto was frequently cited by Jalopnik, which is a car, like a used car. I don't know how to describe it. Jalopnik's, it's a car website. It's about cars, buying used cars, restoring cars, and so I found him there, but I don't watch a lot of his stuff. But he seems like a pretty decent dude. He's getting sued right now, right?
Yeah, actually, he talked about that. It seems like a pretty frivolous lawsuit, but he did. It's funny you say that. That was one episode. Yeah, I watched that one pretty recently. I don't watch all of his stuff, but I'll mix it in because I like to see, like you said, what the other internet lawyers are doing, etc. Yeah, he's getting sued. It seems really frivolous. Like this attorney's. Yeah, it seemed like total BS. Like
he's sued. He's being sued by someone who he represented someone against them, and they won, and he's being sued.
Right.
It's like, no, you lost to him before. Don't do it again. But yeah,
absolutely.
so do you follow anybody else on the internet?
I don't really. I mean, I just recently started, like, that's how I found you. I started searching and I watched your show a couple of times and I reached out to you, and I've actually reached out to Steve too. There's, most of the stuff I watch is not other lawyers, Nick.
No.
I just started. Yeah,
I don't watch any other lawyers.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, but.
So over the past couple days, I covered this one topic, this MXR YouTube channel. Have you MXR plays or whatever, and MXR mods? Have you seen them at all?
No.
They're these two rather young, very sweet kids, we'll call them. They're not kids. They're over 22. I learned that today. They're over 22 years old. They run a reaction YouTube channel, and they got in an online spat with a video licensing channel called Jukin Media. And basically they would go to Reddit or whatever and find meme videos, or like very short, not necessarily memes, but short video clips, and they would react to them. And which is popular. And if people don't know why reaction videos are popular, it's because you go on Reddit and you find a post with a video with like 10,000 upvotes, and you have a pretty safe test market to know that if you show that video, people will want to watch it.
Absolutely.
It's a hard strategy to figure out, but a couple people on YouTube have done that. They're like, 1 million people have watched this. Maybe if I post it, 1 million more will.
Right.
So they're doing this, and then Jukin is actually, they had set up licensing agreements with the actual owners of the videos, so they put them up on a website, and they're available for like $50 each. But these guys were just wantonly pulling videos off of Reddit, not really knowing necessarily that they came from Jukin, and so they were starting to get copyright issues. And so, but the interesting thing that Jukin was doing, so it's $50 to license these videos, right?
Okay.
But when they Jukin sent them an invoice, even though they had no arrangement with them, they just sent him an invoice for $1,500. So, and they're like, well, you got to pay this or else we'll copy strike you on YouTube. And so then Jukin, who may have a claim to the video, I don't know. I've not watched the specific videos that they're talking about, and I know that reaction videos can be fair use or they cannot be fair use. It's a case-by-case question. But rather than figure out if they had fair use or not, they're like, we're going to copy strike you, and if you don't pay us $1,500 per video.
Yeah.
And that is not the best approach to handling those situations. So then there was like this thing. Well, the reason I bring this up is because I am getting heat in some comments because I disagreed with a couple other lawyers on YouTube. Have you ever heard of a lawyer disagreeing with another lawyer? Does that happen often?
Never, Nick. Never. No. That's it. That's an interesting. That's one other lawyer. You asked me, this Ian Corzine guy.
Oh yeah.
Because when I started making videos, I was worried about the copyright law, and I'm like, okay. And I was reading up on it, and I watched him, and he does some videos on it. There's just so many legal issues that can arise with YouTube and the copyrights, et cetera, et cetera. It seems like a lot of it is undecided, but he seemed pretty up to date on it. That's complicated.
Fair use is one of those. There are a couple subjects like this, but fair use is literally, there are no two cases that are the same, because you're dealing with a creative work, you're dealing with another work that may or may not be creative, and then you're dealing with how much each of those works is worth respectively. You're dealing with the intent of the parties. You're dealing with what actually happens. Like you go someone might go into an infringing sort of behavior, not intending for something to like, well, I'm just going to upload this. And then suddenly a million people see it. And it got this widespread thing. And they're like, uh-oh, like I didn't even try to do that, but I did it.
Yeah.
So it's a mess. And the court has to go through it case by case. But I just love that people are online. They're like, well, this person says this and they're a lawyer too. It's like, yeah. Have you ever heard of a lawsuit? That tends to be where two lawyers disagree on either facts or law or both.
Right. And I get that on my channel because I will give a legal opinion or I'll cite some case law. And then sometimes these sovereigns get on my channel and they start arguing with me and posting all. And I'll be like, sometimes I'll tell them, I'll be like, look, it was my opinion that this is a gray area. And they just do not get that at all. It's like, no, this is what the law says. I'm like, all right, man.
They're like in caps. Like, he was traveling.
Yes. That for sure. But definitely.
Oh, man. Well, I love lawyers on the internet. And I say that with all of the sarcasm I can muster. But I like some. I don't want to be rude. But yeah, I won't tell you who though, because I don't want to influence your decisions. You get to navigate those waters all on your own. As long as you think I'm good. Terrible, that's good.
Yeah, I think you're pretty terrible, right? You're pretty
So what are you drinking, man?
I'm just drinking Pepsi.
Just Pepsi? Not a whiskey guy or anything, or?
I do, but I don't drink that often.
Well, wait till you do a little more family law. No, I'm just kidding.
You're right. You're actually right. I have one friend. Family law attorneys never miss a happy hour. Mm-mm. My one friend who does family law, every day she'd be like, happy hour, happy hour, happy hour. I'm like, holy shit.
That's the only...
Yeah.
It's the only happy hour of their entire lives.
Probably. Yeah. I thought the criminal attorneys would be the hardest partiers, but turns out they're just the ones that get into the drugs the most instead of the alcohol. I don't. We had some crazy shit happen in Pittsburgh with criminal defense attorneys.
So a wizened friend once was musing to me about how interesting it is because a lawyer is the only job where it's not the only job, but it's one of the few jobs where you can have all sorts of criminal convictions for like chronic drug use.
Yes.
You could be the worst meth addict ever. Then you can get out. You can stay sober long enough to go through law school. But I mean, you don't really have to be sober to get through law school. It just might help.
Right.
You stay off the meth long enough to get through law school. You get into practice. And then when they catch you doing all of the horrific drugs, you then just say, well, look, my job is hard and stressful. And they send you other lawyer drug addicts to counsel you. And then they're like, he's good now. And they put him back. They put you back in.
Yeah.
You don't get your license suspended for drug addictions unless you could maybe get it suspended for behavior resulting from a drug addiction.
Sure.
But it'd have to be pretty bad. You'd have to ruin a client's life in some way other than normal lawyers do. And then
probably.
And then they'd cycle you back in after like rehabilitation, not rehab, but rehabilitation with another firm. And it's just wild. Like it's the best post drug addict career that you could find, I think.
It's pretty good. And then you have the attorneys. It's funny. I know this one attorney who drinks every single day. And he could be spotted. Okay. All right. But do you drink in the morning?
No,
Nick?
No.
That's the question. Okay.
And I actually don't drink every day. That's just the running gag.
Well, okay. Well, he could be spotted at the liquor store downtown by the courthouse in the morning buying the little tiny pony bottles. And the funny thing is he's drunk pretty much 24/7, but he's a great lawyer. Like I saw him do a trial and I was like, wow. I was in the courtroom. I saw him do a trial. I was like, oh, he kicked ass. He won the trial. So the other big obstacle with him is getting him to show up on time. But if you get him there and he's there on time, he's really good.
Yeah. So, he probably just needs.
It's wild.
You got to wonder if like he needs the lubricant, so to speak, right? Like maybe he just needs a little bit to loosen up, calm the nerves. Because that was one of the I don't know, maybe you have different war stories. Of course you do, but
sure.
In one of my early cases, I had this guy, and he's a good dude, but he's a complete pile of garbage. I mean that in the best way. And it was a felony case, and one of the charges was completely bogus, and the other charge was pretty solid. But the felony charge was bogus. The misdemeanor was probably okay. Yeah. I mean, the misdemeanor was disturbing the peace sort of thing, and so disorderly conduct. So yeah,
Gotcha.
You're not going to win many disorderly conduct cases because it's so broad,
right?
But so we got in there, and I'm sitting there waiting, and you guys can't see this because I don't show my legs, but my leg bounces up and down constantly all day. It's probably some form of ADHD or autism or something. My leg just bounces. So I'm sitting there, and he's like, "You're nervous, huh?" I'm like, "No." He's like, yeah, you are. I'm like, I'm gonna just go up and say you're guilty, you piece of. No. But no, like, so I could see that it's that energy you get. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about. You're about to go up in front of court.
Absolutely.
And you get that energy, and other public speakers know this too. And
absolutely.
If you have a good public speaker, teacher, or instructor, they'll teach you that you take that energy, you channel it into positivity, but it manifests in weird physical ways, usually when you're done. And so like after a court hearing, I'll be like a little shaky and jittery, even though, we just won or whatever, doesn't matter. But it's that energy leaving. And, but God, clients piss me off because that guy was like, he's like, oh, it's just because you're a new attorney. I'm like, you're not even an attorney. You have no idea what I'm doing.
Absolutely.
That guy made me want to drink.
Absolutely. And that's probably the case with this guy. But I don't know. He's been drinking forever. But yeah, it took me, I still get that energy. And the first year or two, oh my God, I'm just freaking terrified getting up there. And I'm calmer now, but I still get that nervous energy. Well, I know this one.
You're wielding someone's liberty.
Yeah.
It's
especially criminal. Yeah.
Right. If you screw it up, like it's the difference between, it's not typically, in my experience, the difference between guilty and innocent, but it's the difference between going to jail and not going to jail. It's the difference between monitored probation and unmonitored probation. It's those little things which don't sound like a lot, but they have a huge impact on people's lives. I don't know how you guys do it in Pennsylvania, but in Minnesota, if you get a petty drug charge and you're on monitored probation, you can't drink. You can't even have a beer. You can't have any mind-altering or mood-altering substance at all. And then you have random drug testing, which you have the benefit of paying for, even though you're innocent until proven guilty. So for a poor person who might have a meth problem, suddenly they've got to shell out $400 to $600 a month on these random drug tests just to prove that the state, or just to exist when the state hasn't proven them guilty. And if you can, that's what I'm talking about, the difference between getting that and not getting that with a good argument. That's where those mistakes really manifest in tangible ways in people's lives, I think. But
Absolutely. I agree 100%. And the funny thing too, maybe that's why, like, I can do the thing with the family law is it's almost entirely illogical. Like, again, I'm working on a case where we're in court every 2 weeks and nothing's happening. Okay. But the parties want to duke it out. And, I feel like I have to have some perseverance. But after doing enough criminal cases, when I go and do the civil litigation stuff, I'm like relaxed. It's just I just don't get as nervous as I do if I'm doing a trial or I have a hearing, because the consequences aren't as high. And I'm not saying, custody, the consequences are great. All right. And even civil litigation, money, a person got hurt. But I agree with you. I mean, the criminal stuff, it's the difference between jail or prison, years of a person's life. You're sitting there negotiating over a couple of years of a person's life. So, I mean, that gets my blood going.
It's funny because the numbers 5 and 6 aren't big, but the difference between 5 years and 6 years is huge.
Yeah,
for someone.
Huge.
So, what's the if you're able to talk about what's the weirdest criminal or what's the worst criminal case you've had to deal with? What's the most dastardly deed you've had to defend?
I do sex offense cases.
Oh, damn.
Nick. Yeah. So I've done since when I first went on my own, I was working with a guy who's been practicing for 25, almost 30 years. And he does everything under the sun. And so I worked on like sex cases with him. And child sex cases, et cetera, like child porn. So I've worked on those cases. Cases that I've taken myself, I have had some strange ones. I sort of rather not really. I mean, I can kind of get into the facts, but I'd rather not.
Up to you.
Yeah. Like statutory sexual. Well, I'll just, this is broad. So I think I put this out here. I had a statutory sex assault case. Okay. And usually you're thinking, it's an older guy with a younger girl.
You had a school teacher. I know it. That's great.
Yeah, right. Like an older female and a younger guy. So that case was interesting, and the way it went down was very interesting because even the judge and the prosecutor and everybody involved had this weird reverse psychology, because I don't know, you don't want to treat it differently, but maybe you almost do. Because you're like, this guy, well, hey, when I was that age, I don't.
Yeah, because every male in the room who was like, man, if I was hitting the cougars when I was 15, I'd be riding high on life.
Right.
Because you don't realize the damage that it does.
Right. Absolutely.
Because as a 15-year-old kid, all you're thinking about is landing the ship, so to speak, or docking the ship.
Sure.
You're not thinking about. You're not conscious of the actual damage that it does to a kid. And I think we as a society, which is the meme as a society or whatever, but as a society, we discount the damage that's done to young boys, particularly because of the desires of young boys, which is the dumbest thing that we do, but we do it all the time.
Absolutely.
I find it really interesting.
I agree. That case, though, it was the judge actually was very conscious of that at the end of the day. So, I thought it did end up being treated like it would have had if it was an older guy and a younger girl. So that one was kind of crazy. Have you ever seen, do you watch Better Call Saul, or have you watched Better Call Saul?
No, I need to. I have it. But I don't watch much of anything. The only thing my wife and I are watching right now is Game of Thrones for some reason, which I really enjoy. When I say for some reason, that's what we chose to watch. And before that, it was American Horror Story. We watched all of Breaking Bad a couple years ago, so I want to watch Better Call Saul, but I haven't gotten around to it yet.
Well, there's a character in Better Call Saul. He's not in Breaking Bad. It's actually Saul's brother, and some of the viewers may know this, some of our fans. And he has this weird disorder. I can't remember what it's called. It's real, where he thinks that all electronics are giving off electromagnetic waves that are like destroying and distorting his brain. And he'll wear like he'll put like aluminum over his body. Like sometimes it gets like, he has like these attacks and he's super paranoid. And so he'll cover himself in aluminum, and he has these aluminum shields, and he can't go around certain electronics. Okay. I had a client who I believe was suffering from that. And it was,
I have relatives who suffer from that.
Fair, yeah. Right. And it was a minor, his offense was minor, but oh my God, I couldn't talk to him. Like it was so crazy. And there were a couple other things that he said that just blew my mind. He had all these conspiracy theories. So I tell people that was like, it was a minor thing, but that was like the wildest case. Like it made me laugh the most that I've had. So
that guy comes up to you and he says, all right, Joe, I want to sue the Bluetooth Consortium.
Yeah.
Do you take the case? Is this guy loaded?
If he paid me, Nick, I would. If he paid me, I probably. Right. That's how you'd get rid of cases that you don't like. You say, well, and I don't charge this much, but you say, well, it's going to be $300 an hour and I need $4,000 down. And then, oh, okay. All of a sudden they're not calling me anymore.
Yeah.
So you know how that is.
Oh my God. I know someone like that, and he's really nice. But yeah, when he hands the kids like a laptop, he like shuts off the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth and stuff. I'm like, okay, let me just propose a hypothetical to you here. Wi-Fi and Bluetooth go two ways. So it's got a Wi-Fi signal going out, but you're also literally sitting in a Wi-Fi signal right now. Just because you turn it off of the computer doesn't mean that the broadcast from the router isn't happening. That's also occurring. You can't just turn off the electromagnetic radiation we're sitting in constantly. But you know, that's going to save the children. So
right. Absolutely. That guy was wild though.
Oh man, do you do domestic violence stuff at all?
I do.
The weirdest domestic violence cases I've had are where the women are the offenders.
Yeah, I've had some of those.
God, those are messy too in odd ways. You learn very quickly that there are two sides to those stories.
Yes.
You never hear them. You never hear them. But it's like there are two sides, and you're like, God, what a mess.
Sure. I don't know how they're handled in Minnesota. It's like particularly where I am in Pittsburgh. The DA, the district, the prosecutors, they don't like to make deals on those. Like are just that particular office, and it might be everywhere. They're really, and so I've had to take some of those, to trial or right up to trial because my client's like completely innocent sometimes. And that can sometimes be the male or the female, or they just have a really, really great case for self-defense. But yeah, those can be, when those clients come to me, I tell them, I'm like, look, you may think this is something we can just go to the first court hearing and work this out, but that's often not the case. They can be a pain. So
I had one where a guy was charged with beating his significant other. They were not married. And the accuser was the significant other's teenage child. And so big accusation. So I start talking to the guy. Now, who hired me was the significant other. Okay. Significant other calls me up and says, hey, I need you to help my boyfriend. I'm like, oh. Yeah. All right. What's he accused of? Hitting me. Right. Oh, well, that's weird. So then I find out, I've had that too. Yeah, as the story goes, the significant other was in an argument with the teenager. And the teenager moved like on his mother, and then the guy stepped between them. He didn't. Okay. According to the mom, didn't touch the kid, didn't put hands on him, but the kid hit him in the face with a shovel. So the kid takes a garden shovel, just wham, right?
Yeah.
Just rails this guy. And so we go in, and the prosecutor's like, we're going to take this one all the way. I'm like, I've got a letter from the mom that says that this guy's never, ever laid his hands on her. Not once. And she is not going to help you in your case. She's not going to testify on the state's behalf. He says, I don't even need that. She's a liar. I'm like, buddy, it's your only witness other than the kid. And I'm going to accuse the kid of hitting my client with a shovel and getting in a fight with the mom and all that stuff. And he's like, nope, we're going. So I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. So then I show up for our first hearing on the case. And the kid had confessed that morning. The kid had confessed that he made it all up, and that he had hit the guy, and the guy never touched him, and the kid was taking his plea, and he was gonna go to juvenile detention or whatever because he was still under 18. And so I walk in, I got the biggest grin on my face. I'm like, ha! How about we go ahead and drop these charges? And he says, no, I'm going with it. And I was like, what are you talking about? We're going to mop the floor with you. The kid confessed this morning. I know. And I'm like, you've got no witnesses. Your only witness that you had just confessed to doing what I said. And he's like, well, I'm going to get him off the stand. I'm not going to allow the mom on the stand because she had like a theft charge from 3 years ago. And he's like, we'll get her disqualified for dishonesty. And it's like, you're being an idiot. And he dropped the case after about 20 minutes of me screaming at him. But it was the weirdest thing. I'm like, why are you so committed to this? The guy didn't do it. He didn't do it. Everybody who said he did, the only person who said he did it just admitted that he was the bad guy. And it was so weird.
They get crazy on those domestic violence cases, but that's beyond ridiculous there. I mean, good thing he got it dropped.
Yeah, he was an old defense attorney who now does he now contracts with a local city to do their lower level prosecution. This is a misdemeanor too. It wasn't even felony level battery. It was a misdemeanor domestic. But he was just like, I think it was just his like lawyer instinct was like, I have to fight this. This is my position. Like, buddy, let it go.
Yeah, right. It kicks in.
All right. So what do you make of this? Let's talk. Well, wait. We're going to talk Virginia in a second, but I got a couple chats to read first. West Nile Chan says, Nick, please cover the Onision suing Rep Zion and Chris Hansen, the groomer versus the boomer and the coomer. Are you familiar at all with Onision, Rep Zion, or Chris Hansen's the take a seat guy, right? How to Catch a Predator.
Okay, I know he is.
Yeah,
I'm not.
Okay, Onision and Rep Zion are two YouTubers, and Onision is some accusations have come out where he may have groomed or sexually assaulted minors or something. And Chris Hansen did a thing on him. So yes, that To Catch a Predator transversed into the internet, or transcended into the internet realm of YouTube, and now he's suing those guys. So that's something to watch. If you're looking to grow a law channel, might I give you some professional advice?
Sure.
Cover this case. Cover it.
Okay.
People will watch.
Okay.
I don't know.
Chris Hansen and
Chris Hansen. The guy's name is Onision, Onision, and the other guy's name is Rep Zion. I do not know much at all about these. I've tried to avoid covering this case because it wasn't a case until recently. But now it's going to be a disaster. So
I did see something about it, but I wasn't that familiar with it. Yeah, I will look into it. You can address it without me.
No, I can't. Okay. I don't know anything about it yet. I will cover it. I will cover it. My channel artist has been begging me to. Well, begging's rude. He's been asking me to cover the Onision stuff, and I'm like, I don't care about this guy. I don't know who he is. I don't care at all. Other people are talking about it. It's fine, but now it's Now we're in meme lawsuit territory, so I guess I have to.
Right.
Endless End 2646 says, I tweeted you a story, TMZ, I'm so sorry. A deaf guy is suing Pornhub because they don't have closed captions on all of their videos. I couldn't help but get a chuckle out of it. Do you have any opinions on this one, good sir?
I did. I think that came out today because I saw that. I was just scrolling through the news and I saw that, and I don't know where I saw it. Maybe it was on YouTube. And my question is, what would those captions look like? I guess we know, right? Do we know?
Okay, you know what gets me? Maybe this is rude, but when you're watching closed captioning and it does like brackets and it's like bird noises, I'm like, but that doesn't help someone who's never heard bird noises before.
That's true too. Yeah, that's true too.
So would it be like sensual moaning? Well, what the hell does that even sound like to someone?
I feel like it would just be, like you said, in the bracket, it would just be like like in the bracket. I mean, what does he want? What does he want?
Creaking bed frame.
I bet they pay him money, Nick. I bet they pay him money.
God, what? Yeah, I guess. Are they a public accommodation? Do they have to provide an equal?
That's a good question. And yeah, that's a good question.
What is an equal level of enjoyment from a pornographic video? Right? Because
when you're deaf,
right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because like if you're in a movie theater, they have to do. Well, do they? In movie theaters don't have closed captions, but they tend to have. They have hearing aid headphones sometimes. I don't even know how they would handle this.
Yeah, you're right. It's likely not a public accommodation. I don't know that area of law too well. But yeah, it's funny as hell though. I'll give it that.
It's a good theory. I commend his lawyer. I commend his lawyer. Funny.
Hey, he got all over the news, right? He's all over the news.
What about have you been following the Girls Do Porn lawsuit and criminal charges or anything like that?
No.
Okay, so there's this. I'll briefly touch on it. It's an interesting case that's kind of developing. They just won. I think it's 20 women just won a combined $12 million judgment from. And don't Google "Let's Do Porn" unless you're in incognito mode or whatever, or Girls Do Porn.
Okay.
Girls Do Porn. So they won this $20 million judgment $12 million judgment for 20 different women who basically entered into an agreement to do pornographic videos, but on the promise that they were for specific individual clients and would not be uploaded to the internet. And then, of course, these guys took the videos, are like, yep, upload that to the internet. And now it's not like they were leaked. I think that would be a different case is... they said they were for individual clients and then someone else leaked them. The actual guys who filmed the videos then leaked them. And uploaded them to various streaming sites and stuff like that. But but yeah, so there's that. And then they also, the same three guys are facing criminal charges because allegedly they would get girls into a room and then they would propose to them the contract for the pornographic video when they may not have thought that that's what they were there for, and then they wouldn't let them leave until they signed it and performed and stuff like that. So one of them has fled the country, and the other two are in custody.
Yeah, they're probably screwed badly. What's the legal, I guess, for the lawsuit itself, that's like an invasion of privacy, defamation.
Breach of contract, I would guess, too.
That's what I was trying to understand is the guy the guys who put it out there are the guys who wrote they signed the contract with as well?
That's what I get from it, is that these guys drafted the contract. And they assured them. Now, the question is what's in the language. Well, I guess the question isn't because the girls won. But one of the questions would be what's in the language of the contract, and therefore would they allow parole evidence
Oof.
I'm sorry, Judge. We're going to have to parole evidence rule this. They're not allowed to bring in these external factors. We have the four corners of our sex contract locked down here. And I thought, Judge, courts tend to avoid contracts that involve sexual activity. I don't know how they deal with that in contract disputes over pornography.
It's a good point. It's a good point. I don't know. I think you just have to deal with it there. You just have to deal with it to some degree. I don't, right?
It's man, that's a messy one. But yeah, the criminal case seems a little more straightforward. If they did these things, they're done. I mean, they'll go to prison forever.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And they should. If they're forcing people to have sex, I don't care if you pay them afterwards. Like reverse hookering isn't a thing.
Right. It's totally not. That's probably just a litany of charges.
Yeah. And I think the smallest one is like a 20-year sentence. So they're toast. 47 Ronin Gaming says, off topic, but riddle me this, Nikki. Why is it when I mess up, it's my problem, but when the government messes up, it's my problem? That's a good question. That's a good question. Man, where I run into that the most is when I deal with environmental stuff. You said you're up in Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh area?
Yep.
So are you like in
Pittsburgh.
the urban area, or are you more rural, or?
Pretty urban. I'm right in the suburbs of Pittsburgh.
Do you get a lot of land use stuff or anything like that? I mean, I live by a bunch of farms, so that kind of crap is all over the place.
I don't, because I don't advertise for it, and I probably wouldn't take it, Nick. So not really. I do have some friends who have, like, I have a good friend who's basically does a real estate firm, and he deals with that all the time, easements, etc. Things like that. Okay. Kind of out of my wheelhouse.
Yeah, I don't like it, mainly because I hate dealing with the government in any capacity. And it's these little local governments that piss me off, like soil and water conservation districts out here. It's like, oh my God, they have so much power over what you can do with your own land. And it's why? Oh, I built a shed. I had a shed built. I didn't build it. I paid someone to build a shed, and getting this shed approved was a nightmare. I'm like, it's a shed. It's on my property. I'm gonna have some Russian guys come out and put walls up and then throw a roof on it. Like, that's all I want in my life. Why do I have to ask the government's permission to put a shed up on my grass? Yeah. But I do. I have to. I have to pay them for the permission too. It's disgusting.
Yeah, I had a friend who called me because I own some real estate, but I don't do real estate law, which I should. But he wanted to, there's an empty lot next to him, and he wanted to lease it from his neighbor because she's not using it and she wants too much to sell it. And he called me, and I said, well, look, man, I was like, you got to look into the zoning. I was like, you can't just turn that into a parking lot. So he looked into the zoning, and there's a dozen different requirements. It has to be leveled. It has to be, in order to make it a parking pad, it has to be leveled out from the street. It has to be a certain width. It has to be like surveyed, inspected, da-da-da-da-da. Like, he was going to pay her $50 a year so he could just park his car there.
Nope.
And he's worried because somebody on that street will call the city on him if he's doing this, and then they'll come in, oh, it's not zoned properly, blah, blah, blah. So I hear you.
Your cement slab there, that is impacting the water flow. You've diverted a water source away from a tributary to a different tributary. Oh my God, it's just cement.
And one of the most difficult lawsuits I had was, and I do some employment law. I've done some, and anyway, I represent this dude who worked for the post office, and another attorney had told me doing like federal discrimination cases are a huge pain in the ass. Well, this guy, he came to me and he decided to pay me hourly, and he sort of begged me because he couldn't get an attorney, and I gave him a good rate, and I was like, okay. And I just spent months and months litigating with this post office attorney who just did not they just would not budge on anything. And there was all this extra procedural crap. So I have to learn all these new law and everything. And it was just a huge pain in the ass. So yeah, I generally avoid, I mean, I do sue the government once in a while, but I try to avoid it.
It's weird. The government has made it exceptionally hard to sue the government. It's like
right, absolutely.
It's expensive. It's cumbersome. They have special rules, and it's like, wait a minute. If I want to sue the owner of Walgreens, it's easier than suing a county commissioner. Like the CEO, when I say the owner of Walgreens, I don't mean the owner of that Walgreens. I mean the CEO of Walgreens is easier to sue than a county commissioner pulling in a whopping $28,000 a year of supplemental income.
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
Absolutely.
It's God, it pisses me off. We can't talk about the government. I'm getting the vapors.
I'm going to hang out for about 10 more minutes. I'm about an hour behind you, and I got to get to bed at some point.
You have like a job or whatever.
Yeah, I don't have too much going on tomorrow, but you're 38. I'm 37. Well, you're on this. I don't know. You stay up late more than I do. I go to bed at like 10 or 10:30.
No, this is me waking up. I have my oatmeal at 3:15 for dinner, and then I go to bed at 3:45 after I take my pills and watch my stories, and then I wake up at 11. And
I got you.
That's my day. Okay, well then I have a question. So one of the big topics I've covered on the past year, the chat has been asking me to ask you this. The big topic I've been covering over the past year is this lawsuit, the Vic Mignogna lawsuit. Have you seen anything about this?
Because I was watching your show, I was trying to dig into it a little bit, but I can't remember. That was a few weeks ago. Brief me real quick, and I can give you my opinion.
Oh boy, where to begin?
Unless that's impossible.
It's tough because I'm going to give you a biased perspective, right? Like I have my opinions on the case, so you have to understand this is coming from me. My personal experience, knowledge, research, and feelings about it. But long story short, you've got a voice actor for 20 years. He's in the, if not the top 10, the top 5 of male voice actors out there. All right. But this is for Japanese animation titles, not American animation. Right. So cool. His name's Vic Mignogna. If you watched anime, you've probably at some point run into a role he's done.
I have. I actually lived in Japan for a time. Maybe it's some other time we talk about that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, have you heard of Full Metal Alchemist?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He is the voice of Edward Ulrich.
Okay.
The main guy, for example.
Yeah.
So, and it's the same in Brotherhood that was on Netflix or whatever. So, yeah. So anyway, that's to give you an idea who he is.
Okay.
So he gets Me Too'd. He gets Me Too'd on the release of Dragon Ball Broly, or Dragon Ball Super Broly, which came out a year ago today, actually. And he gets first this weirdo named Allison Cook tweets that it's time to talk about Funimation's employee Vic Mignogna, a known pedophile. Like, why do you employ a known pedophile? Which is interesting because there's no pedophilia charges, but okay. And it turns out now this is going to be too much detail. I can't do that. I'm going to skip it. We're going with what the story was a year ago.
Okay.
This is retweeted by Mars Girl, who's a YouTube. I can't call her a personality. That would be too much credit. She retweeted that and said, maybe it's time to have a conversation about this guy. Maybe it's time to start a hashtag. I don't know. What about hashtag Kick Vic? Then a investigation gets initiated by Funimation. This is all behind the scenes, but an investigation occurs. Now, at the investigation, I can tell you the extent of the investigation as far as Vic knows, right?
Okay. Yeah.
They asked him, person from Sony who just bought Funimation, Sony calls him on the phone and says, we're going to ask you about these 3 incidents. In one instance, he is alleged to have gone into a co-worker's office at the studio, the Dallas studio in Funimation, and kissed her.
Okay.
And then when she said, stop, he stopped. All right. So that's one instance. Whether or not, like, we don't know what the consent level is according to the investigation. I can tell you from the plaintiff side, from Vic's side, there was consent to the kiss. But who knows? This person is not a party to the suit. This is a third party. So they're investigating the kiss in the office. The next thing they're investigating is that at a convention that was not a Funimation event, just a random anime convention, that Vic brought 2 twins who were of age, back to his hotel room and propositioned them to engage in sexual activity. They said no, and then they left. Okay. And then the third instance is a coworker, a fellow voice actress, where they were sitting at a tables adjacent to each other at a convention. And the voice actress asked Vic if he wanted a jelly bean. He said, sure. She pulled out her marker for signing autographs, signed the jelly bean and gave it to him. He ate the jelly bean. Someone says, aren't you worried about like poison or toxic ink? And he says, well, at least now I can say I've eaten, in brackets, female voice actress. So a joke there in front of the crowd. Yeah. And it's important to note that all of these events occurred at least 6 years prior to this investigation.
Jesus. Oh, God.
Okay, so they do that investigation, or they do that phone call. They ask him about those things. 3 days later, he's fired. They produce no investigation report or anything like that. It sits silent for a couple days. People are buzzing about it on Twitter, but there's no official news. And then the jelly bean person tweets, that it happened to her. Okay, very vague, but it happened to her. And then another person says, it happened to me too. He was in the lobby of Funimation and he grabbed my hair and he pulled it down and he whispered something sexual into my ear, which she cannot remember. And then she doesn't remember how she escaped his hair grip, but she assumes it was her shoving him away and saying, get the F off me, or something like that. No corroboration of this story exists from anybody. But this allegedly happened in the lobby of the studio. And then a couple days later, Funimation itself tweets that they have, here's the language of the tweet. We're writing to address the Vic Mignogna situation. We have conducted an investigation. We have recast his role in Morose Mononokean and will not be doing further business with Mr. Mignogna. Then there was a subsequent tweet that says, Funimation as a policy does not support harassment or abuse of any kind. So he sues the Jelly Bean lady. He sues the hair pull lady. He sues Funimation as a company. And he sues the Jelly Bean lady's fiance, who has, at this point, tweeted approximately 400 different tweets about him of various levels of some sort of, I'll call them defamatory, although I won't commit to them being legally actionable defamation. But they're definitely denigrating tweets. How's that? Denigrating tweets.
Sure.
And so he sues those 4. All of them are in Texas with him. It also turns out that he had booked a convention. So he gets fired from Funimation. He gets fired from another company called Rooster Teeth. around the exact same day, basically. And then he also gets canceled from 13 scheduled convention appearances. One of those convention appearances is called KamehaCon. And the fiance, who I mentioned earlier, has a string of text messages basically stating along the lines of, look, my company, he's a real estate guy, my company is thinking of sponsoring a table at your event for $25,000, right? And then he says, what are you guys doing about the Vic situation? I hope you know that my fiance can't be there if he's going to be there. They're both announced they'd both been announced for months. My fiance can't be there if he's going to be there. And if he's going to be there, I think this sponsorship is off the table. So then that convention cancels him. Okay. So those are the rough facts. Okay. There's a lot more. There's so much more. I bet. But on the surface, I guess the question is, do you think there's a claim there?
For Vic?
Yeah.
For Minion. Number one, I'm surprised. Is he suing the girl who called him a pedophile?
No. And
because
I could tell you a lot. I can tell you lots of reasons why.
Okay.
But one of the reasons is she's in Japan.
Okay.
Jurisdictional nightmare. But okay, wait. Are you gonna take a dangerous position here and suggest that calling someone a pedophile on the internet in public is defamatory?
I am.
I am not kidding you. I'm not kidding you. You got to be careful with this because there is a group of touched people, and I will call them Law Twitter. You can call them whatever you want. I actually will call them much worse than Law Twitter, but we're in polite company here. They will suggest that is perfectly fine. That is merely name calling and not defamatory, even though the person literally meant engages in sexual activity with minors, right? Like that's what the person means.
I'd file that lawsuit. I'd take my chances on that, Nick. I mean, there's no doubt that's damaging to your reputation. I mean, one thing here with Vic is it's clear that he suffered damages.
That's exactly, yes.
And so that oftentimes, so I have people come to me who aren't celebrities and they come to me and they say, oh, somebody said this, defamation, blah, blah, blah. And I'll be like, but what damages have you suffered? Like, you still have your job, you still have you have all your friends. It's like, I can't show business losses, et cetera, et cetera. I think Vic certainly has that here. I feel like
the 13 conventions alone.
Yeah,
his average.
He lost his job.
Yeah, his average convention appearance this year, because he still did have convention appearances, and he booked new ones after he brought suit. Oddly enough, it's like some conventions appreciated the fact that he fought back, but after he filed suit, he booked some new conventions, and he ended up averaging, I think, around $8,000 a show. So I mean, you're talking about $100,000.
Yeah, I'm sure at his level.
That's only the average. So that's including small shows where he's only pulling in 5,000. But some of the larger shows, I mean, he ended up going back to the one convention that canceled him through a negotiation with his counsel and their counsel. They ended up getting him brought back to the show. They threatened to sue for breach of contract. They brought him back to the show. And I think he made something like $38,000 at that show. It was huge show.
Yeah.
So, I mean, some of these shows are exceptionally valuable. And
I can imagine.
And so, yeah, like you've said, you're faced with losing $100,000 at a minimum on this, on the words of somebody. And he asserts over and over they're not true.
Sure.
But
it's the only in these, the jelly bean claim, number one, so you have a kiss that was consented to. Then you have this jelly bean claim, which, I mean, if they're going to, or I don't want to play both sides here, but I mean, pedophile. Pedophiles.
Well, that's the interesting thing.
Not defamatory,
right?
And
like
then-
you mentioned, why didn't he sue the girl who called him a pedophile? The company doing the investigation, presumably as a result of this Twitter firestorm, right? Didn't
Right.
investigate anything regarding pedophilia at all. Like there's
Well,
nothing.
Yeah,
All
that's a
of the
good
people
point.
involved are of age.
Yeah.
The only one happened on workplace property, and I mean, to me, it blows my
Yeah,
mind.
good point.
It's like,
Good point.
okay, so he tried to have sex with someone but failed. He kissed
Right.
someone,
Yes.
according to him, with consent, which at the early stages of the case, you have to defer to the plaintiff making a prima facie case.
Sure.
So you have to accept their
Sure.
allegation as
Yeah.
true for the initial stage, and then you get
Yes,
when you get
good
to
point.
discovery and a jury. Hopefully, obviously it's a different thing. And then finally, the jelly bean story is just like, to me, that's just like, who cares?
Yeah, that's a joke. It's BS.
And it's
Yeah.
not even a dirty joke unless you make it one.
The only claim is him grabbing the hair. The only claim that seems to have any legitimacy, but then that's his word against her word.
Right.
And she may have, I don't know enough about the case to really look hard at that one. That seems, a bit forceful, etc. But
For his part, he says, so at deposition, I have all these I have the deposition videos for some of the parties. So he was asked about that specific incident at deposition, and he objected to the characterization of pulling her hair. He said he maybe playfully bounced her, like was complimenting her. They were friends.
Okay.
And the story in her pleading is that she walked up, initiated a hug, and then he touched her hair.
Well, then it's total BS.
Right? Thank you.
It's total BS.
Because if someone walks up and initiates physical touch with you, and you return physical touch, like maybe you do touch their hair, but the idea that you grabbed it violently, pulled the person into your chest, whispered something sexual into their ear, like, well, what did he whisper? Like, this is a fact statement. You're making a fact statement about what
that's
occurred.
Very relevant. Yeah.
And what did he whisper? Because we have to get a jury to assess whether it was something sexual or not.
Yeah,
that's at least my argument. But anyway, it's a disaster. I have probably 300 hours of video if you're curious. But no, I'll be talking about it a lot tomorrow because today's the 1-year anniversary. So tomorrow I'm going to do a show pretty dedicated to it. But it's a crazy one, man.
Are the lawsuits still pending? Are Vic's lawsuits still pending?
So these were brought in Texas, and they actually lost all of them on an anti-SLAPP motion.
Wow. Okay.
Do you guys have anti-SLAPP in Pennsylvania?
I just started reading about the anti-SLAPP law intended to censor, intimidate, sounds crazy, burdening with costly. Such lawsuits have been made illegal. So they claimed his lawsuit was a SLAPP lawsuit.
Which is interesting because
okay, I get it now. Okay.
This is the nature. The Texas anti-SLAPP statute is very strong, and it's interesting because theoretically, a SLAPP lawsuit is designed to stop public participation. He never asked for a restraining order. He never asked for an injunction on their defamatory tweets. He never tried to stop them from talking at all. And when questioned about it, he said, "How can you? It's the internet. You can't stop anybody from talking."
Pennsylvania barely has one.
Yeah,
apparently.
Minnesota doesn't have one. We found ours unconstitutional in violation of your right to a jury.
Okay.
And that's the interesting part of this case. In Texas, all you have to do is make a prima facie showing of each essential element of the claim. And the judge ruled that they didn't. And Oh, maybe we could talk about this. Have you ever had a judge with a bad day?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me ask you if this would make your.
I've had it.
Would this make your judge have a bad day?
Story, but go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Let's say your judge wants to be on the Texas Court of Appeals.
Okay.
All right. And your judge really, really wants to be on the Texas Court of Appeals. Now, an appeals court judge has just resigned or hopefully died or whatever. That's a joke on the hopefully. They've just resigned or died, and now there's an open slot. And this judge has been gunning for that slot, made his political connections, and he is hoping to be appointed to that position so that he can then run in the next election as the incumbent. Because, as you probably know, incumbent judges win 5% of the time.
Oh, yeah. That's the way to go.
Now, let's say the week of this hearing, that judge found out that not only did he not get appointed the position, but no one even told him he wasn't getting appointed the position.
Wow.
He might have a bad day that day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow.
So
I'd reschedule that.
Yeah. Well,
I'd try. I don't know if we could.
Yeah. The problem, of course, is not knowing that until after the hearing. But God, what a brutal. But anyway, so it's being appealed right now. They've got probably a couple months till oral argument in front of the appellate court. And I'm very interested to follow. Obviously, I believed that he had a meritorious claim. I did always say from the start, the way court goes, you can't make any promises. You can think you have the best case in the world, but you got a person at the other end, and some people make mistakes or are stupid or in a bad mood or just see things differently. And so, but we'll see. We'll see.
Later filed $1 million. I don't. Here's the thing with his case. I'll say this, and I don't know that much about it, but that's number one. It seems pretty complex. Okay, there's a lot of different facts and moving parts there. It sounds also like he sued several different parties for the whole thing to get thrown out from an anti-slap motion or whatever they're called. Seems ridiculous to me, because I feel like a good judge might look hard at each individual claim against each individual party. It's hard for me to believe that none of his claims are meritorious. I just can't believe that.
So the tortious interference claim against, if nothing else, against the fiance, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll send you these. I have the text messages between him and the convention, and the convention owner signed a declaration stating that not only did the text messages exist, but that this guy called him on the phone, that he explained that he could not cancel Vic because he had a contract which would not allow him to. They urged him to cancel or threatened to breach their contract. He canceled him initially, but when he brought him back, they did breach their contract. So, like, he's got this affidavit that says that I did breach the contract. They called me, they threatened these things, I breached the contract, I renegotiated the contract, and then they followed through on their second attempt to TI him. Like, it's... And the judge is just like, no, just going to ignore that.
How do you toss a breach of contract on an anti-slap motion?
Well, they didn't sue for breach of contract because they got, he didn't sue the convention because when they threatened to sue the convention, they renegotiated a new contract. New material terms.
Okay, I gotcha.
He had to hire security. He got moved to a different location. All of this. He underwent some costs in renegotiating the contract itself. So he did renegotiate it. But because they had come to an amicable conclusion, he didn't actually sue them for breach. But he does have the convention owner with a declaration stating, I breached the contract. I did breach it. after, following this phone call and their threats.
Should I be surprised that Texas has an anti-slap statute? Like, is it more conservative states that tend to have them?
I don't know. Texas.
I don't know if you researched.
Don't be surprised by Texas having it just because of the heavy preference for tort reform in Texas. Like if you have medical malpractice, you don't want to be in Texas.
Yeah. I gotcha.
But it came in the wave of tort reform. It's personally, I go both ways on anti-slap because I'm like, I see the intent, but the function is you get a technical decision to throw out a potentially meritorious claim without giving people a chance to even because it halts discovery the second you file the motion. So you don't get discovery. Yeah. You don't get to make any arguments about the case. It's what you got. So it's brutal, man.
I would say, again, not knowing that much about anti-slap laws or this case, I would believe that he has a pretty good chance on appeal. It sounds like something they're going to look hard at.
I think they will. They review him de novo as well, so hopefully they'll get a fresh look. I mean, the interesting thing is all of the tweets and stuff. They're in not only his pleadings, but they're in the opposing counsel's pleadings as well. So it's like they've never denied making statements, that's one of the typical defenses of defamation. I didn't actually say that. I didn't.
Right. Yeah.
Because a lot of times defamation happens person to person because most people don't make defamatory statements online. It's like, I'll call your boss and say that, well, he's diddling the children or whatever. And it's harder to prove that person said that thing. But these are all, they're all on Twitter. They just said it. So, but so the people are urging me to tell you about, there's more drama to this case. And that's, I started a GoFundMe. When I heard about this case, I started a GoFundMe for the guy. And we raised a whole bunch of money. We're up to $271,000.
Wow. That's awesome.
That's been raised for his lawsuit.
Yeah.
This has driven the defendants to literal insanity. Because they have been trying to get the GoFundMe money. Like they've been trying to convince the judge, in a weird way, trying to convince the judge to award them the GoFundMe money, suggesting that the GoFundMe money, which he had nothing to do with it, by the way. I told him, I said, look, because I had done an initial video on this, and I'm like, okay, a bunch of people have asked me how to help you out. And so I'm starting a GoFundMe, and I'm going to pass the funds along to your lawyer. Okay? I'm going to do that. And he's like, well, I don't know if I want to ask people for money. I said, you're not. I am. I'm going to put it out there, and you won't ever see it. So it's going to go, we'll set it up to go to the law firm, and that's that. And I won't touch the money. It will never come to me either, because I certainly don't want anyone else's money in my hands ever. I don't.
Sure.
If money comes to me, I want it to be mine, period. So I got that set up, got the GoFundMe set up. He hired a law firm. I directed the funds into that law firm's IOLTA account. So he's never touched a dime of it. I've never touched a dime of it. GoFundMe, I don't know if you know how GoFundMe works, but they don't hold the money. They transfer it like every 24 to 48 hours. So at most, there may be a couple $100 to a couple $1,000 in the account at GoFundMe at any given time. And typically there's not that much. It just gets swept over automatically to the law firm. This has driven them to insanity. They don't know what to do about it. They have spent, some guy calculated out based on their billing statements that they had to release for their motion for attorney's fees, that they spent 31 grand talking about or researching me or the GoFundMe itself.
Oh man.
It's nuts, man. It's a weird case.
That is nuts.
I'd suggest looking at it just for the sheer. There's so many lawyers commenting on it. because it's on the internet, and it got a lot of attention early on, and I was pretty much the sole legal voice on it for a while, outside of some limited interaction from a couple YouTube guys. But then one of the defendant's friends, or two of the defendant's friends, tagged in a couple guys from Law Twitter. Law Twitter is a hashtag on YouTube, or not YouTube, on Twitter. And I would personally recommend staying away from them. They get involved in a weird groupthink, and they suggest things that I don't believe about their own experience. We'll say.
Okay.
I'm not the most experienced lawyer on the planet, but I have never misrepresented that level of experience. But these guys, I mean, if you listen to them, they're all the greatest attorneys of all time. They all have unified thoughts on it. No one thinks that calling someone a pedophile is defamatory in any sort of way. It's weird, man. I don't get it.
Well, that's pretty incredible what you did with the GoFundMe, though. That's really cool.
I can't take too much credit.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
I appreciate the sentiment, but it's the audience, man. Like, they were his fans, and that's been, I think that's what really drives him crazy, is that this is a Me Too thing, right? The whole purpose is it's supposed to be, you go out, you make your statement, the whole world cries with you, and then they shut the other person out for the rest of their lives. They're done.
Cancel culture. Absolutely.
And it didn't happen here, and that pisses them off.
Yeah.
And it makes me happy.
Is he still, working in the industry and being successful, or
the conventions he goes to are very successful. It's a little harder, I think, to book conventions, mainly because the convention owners themselves have drawn lines, and no one can quantify this, but Funimation has some level of authority over its voice actors going to conventions. So some conventions are afraid to book him, because if they book him, then they don't get access to any Funimation.
Gotcha.
Now, there's no official word on it. If I only had an email of that, oh my God, it would make me happy. But there's no official word on it. But they're Funimation, they're convention owners who are genuinely like, well, if we book him, we have trouble getting other people because the company won't let them come.
Right.
And so, but when he does, I mean, he did a signing in a collectible store in LA just on Saturday, and had 700 people show up.
Good for him. Yeah.
So,
good for him.
And as far as convention goes, I mean, 700 people, just to give you an idea, I don't know how familiar you are with the convention industry, but you're basically paying $20 to $80 a person to buy like a picture of him that's autographed, or take a picture with him, stuff like that. You may buy a couple, one for a friend or whatever. So having 700 people is a significant income pull. And when he does do conventions, I mean, he brings in 300, 400, 500 plus people. But, with those, you've got to buy a ticket to the convention and then go buy stuff from him, too. So
Gotcha.
It's crazy.
I can say I'm not a fan of the cancel culture, and it looks like if you watch the Democratic debates, like Elizabeth Warren's trying to Me Too Bernie Sanders there a little bit with this "no woman can run for president" thing.
No woman can run for president.
And to me, it's like Bernie. He seems like the most honest person ever. I don't know. He has a high degree of credibility. Even if you're not a fan of Bernie and his politics,
I think my opinion is sic semper tyrannis. So
I gotcha.
I don't trust anybody out there, man. I voted last election. I voted for me with Snowden as my running mate. That's my politics.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Listen, I'm more to the right, but I got, I'm hearing Elizabeth Warren say that Bernie said this, and it's like, who do I believe in this spat? It feels to me like Bernie has more credibility, at least on something like that, than she would.
Wait, Elizabeth Warren, who is on record lying about her heritage for the purpose of receiving benefits, might not have as much credibility.
Exactly. But I've had it. I'm pretty much I'm over the whole cancel culture thing. So.
Yeah, me too. Speaking of which, my moderators are cancel culturing an XXX amateur sex videos bot in my chat right now. Don't you cancel culture my amateur sex videos.
Oh God.
Oh man. Well, hey, I would be happy to. I know you got to run, and I've kept you longer than you said, which I apologize for. But I've enjoyed talking to you quite a bit, and I'd love to have you back on the show for anything. If you ever want to chat about a specific legal topic, we can do that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But before you peace out, anything you want to say to the audience, you're welcome to do so. Definitely, guys, the links to his 2 channels are in the description, so go check them out. Throw him a subscription, check out his videos, give him some views, all of that stuff. And if you like it, share it, right? Like, that's how we grow.
Absolutely.
But is there anything else you wanted to say?
Yeah, I'd just like to say thank you very much, Nick. I appreciate it. I like your show. Thanks for having me on. It's been fun, very informative. I've been watching your show for a couple of weeks here, off and on. I won't always watch full episode, but I'll jump in. And I like what you're doing. I like what you're doing, and I really appreciate you having me on. Yeah, I'd love to come back too. I thought we were going to talk about the Second Amendment stuff. We can get to that. I'll come back. I'll come back, and we'll talk about it. Yeah, we should,
because Virginia is an absolute disaster. And we got the Governor Northam or whatever is first he put on the shoe polish, and then he said, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
I got a long, complicated backstory with blackface, but we're not going to go there today.
Okay.
But and he's like banning guns where you can't ban guns. And I've heard that the reasons he provided for the order actually violate a law specifically designed to prevent this kind of order. Now, I haven't researched that, but it's nuts, man.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. And I heard you talking about the Heller decision, which because I had, as your audience, maybe some of my audience was asking me to talk about everything that was going on in Virginia. So I was actually reading up on that. Now, I haven't done any episodes on that, but I did read up on it, and I got a bunch of stuff prepared. So I'll come back and we'll talk about it. But again, thank you for having me on. Audience, everybody out there, thank you as well for entertaining me and listening to what I have to say. Sign up for Joe the Lawyer or the Common Sense Academy. The Common Sense Academy channel is a little more specialized. You may be into that stuff. You may not. Check it out. I would say sign up for my Joe the Lawyer, though. I'm going to do more general analysis, probably something closer to what Nick does. So sign up for that one for sure. I'd like to build an audience there. Again, just thank you for your time. Thanks for having me on, Nick. I'd love to come back, talk about Second Amendment.
Yeah, man, we should do that. And I will look you up, or you look me up if you come up with a specific topic, and we'll talk for sure.
Sounds great. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. All right. Have a good night. We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Peace.
Okay. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay. That was Joe. That was Joe the Lawyer. Go check out his channel. Seems like a good guy. You guys have known him just a hair less than I have. He emailed me, said he wanted to chat. I like him. Seems honest, and would love to talk to him a little bit more. Now, I saw as he was leaving that I missed a justice chat that was for both of us, and I apologize to the pie baker. But let me see. I'll read it here. Gents, I propose derailing this stream with a debate. say I hypothetically bail on my hypothetical prostitute after hypothetically receiving services hypothetically without paying. Joe argue it's rape. Nick argue it's dine and dash. Listen, it's only dine and dash if you actually ate, if you know what I'm saying. So that's a good way to avoid the dine and dash problem. So there you go. I don't know. That's a tough question. I guess it would depend if this is the problem with illegal prostitution, right? Is that if someone bails on their prostitute, who do they go to for help? Yeah, officer, he didn't pay me for the sexing, and he should have. Why should he have? Click, you're under arrest. Right? It's a tough thing, but on a broader scale, it's the problem. It's one of the problems with illegal immigration and trafficking and other exploitation, extortion of illegal residents. And this is the illegal problem that nobody wants to really talk about, is that whatever your opinions on illegal immigration, pro, against, neutral, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you have a person who is more vulnerable to exploitation because of this status. So we need to fix that for whatever way it is. If it's prevent the illegal entry into the country so that they're less able to be victimized while they're here, then let's do that. If it's modify the status in some way to allow for it, then we need to have a serious discussion about what that status is, what the requirements are, what benefits it confers. Because I think that's where a lot of people get hung up. It's like if someone just waltzes into the country and in violation of the laws, should they be allowed any protections from the state? If so, what are those protections and what are the limits? Is it the literal limit of, well, you shouldn't be violently accosted by someone? Like if someone rapes you, there should be a consequence for the rape. But at the same time, do we want to say something like, well, you shouldn't have access to benefits that come with citizenship and legal process, right? Or maybe, I don't know. But that's one of the problems with the illegal immigration debate, is that we're not actually focusing on the other problems that illegal immigration causes. And it's one of those is, man, child sex trafficking is a big one because these are vulnerable people because they will not use law enforcement. And that just sets up a recipe for disaster. So interesting stuff, right? Like, and all we ever get are numbers and weird things, but there's people on these laws. Is maybe the wall is compassionate because the wall reduces the chance that someone will come here and be a victim here, and they can deal with that in their country. I like Razorfist's take on the wall quite a bit, in that I think it was less about the wall and it was more about just the idea of allowing the best or the most capable people to flee a country, as you're taking away a resource that the country desperately needs to reform the ills that are making people want to flee, right? So I was a big fan of that rant of his. I don't remember what it's called. It's probably like The Wall, a rant or whatever, but it's a good video. And it's a really challenging video, especially for people who might support sort of an open border or circular immigration sort of strategy, is that Mexico is an absolute gutter trap, and it won't get better if we let everybody, all of the productive members of Mexico leave. Then there will be no one to help it correct. So. But anyway, Chris Coelho. And I love talking about why we need the wall. A rant is the name of the video, and it's a great video. And yeah, I hate talking about illegal immigration because I have a complicated relationship with it that is entirely based on the theoretical and not on the practical. So when I talk about it, it's in the abstract, whereas with the practical, I feel like if it's illegal to come in here, we should probably stop people from coming, right? And what I would ultimately like to see with immigration is something that it's like the legalization of all drugs, right? My libertarian ideal would be that everything is legal, but that society's at a place where the use is rather restricted. It's not so free because people don't just run into these vices just because they exist. But those are it's like the ultramarines, theoreticals and your practicals. That's your theoretical. It's like, this is what would be great in a lofty ideal society. Practical though, we got this problem right here that we have to deal with. What does that look like? So anyway, it's good times. Trying to put you out of a job. I do want you to starve to death, but only because I'm so opposed to fatness. But okay, Chris Coelho says, looking forward to seeing you at the Kitchener Con. I was excited to hear you were going. If it's okay, I'd like to promote my YouTube channel. It's all about anime and reviews. My newest video, I recreated a famous scene from Demon Slayer. Yeah, Chris, promote it all you want, man. You know, you sent a chat. I'm not going to stop you. Just don't spam. Don't spam. That's the one rule in this chat. You can come on here. You can make fun of me all you want. I don't care. Just don't spam. That's it. So, yeah, there's that. Well, guys, I wasn't sure how long Joe was going to get to hang out today. Oh, wait. Zar Warudo says, hey, Nick, the uncle of a friend of mine was shot to death a few days ago. News article says that according to the police investigation, he was shot after a verbal altercation. It was ruled justifiable. Any thoughts / advice? I mean, that's tough. I don't have thoughts or advice other than, be there for your buddy. But there's not really, if they rule it justifiable, ruling it justifiable is a tough one because doesn't sound like there was a judge involved if it was just a few days ago. Maybe the sheriff has determined it was justifiable and the district attorney have determined it was justifiable. But you could always request the file. I don't know if they're going to provide it for you. But yeah, that's tough. They could consult an attorney in their area about a wrongful death suit, but your friend's uncle, your friend wouldn't be the one to bring the case. It'd probably be someone more directly related to the uncle. Unless your friend was like, had some sort of more specific and concrete relationship than just uncle nephew. But that sucks, man. That sucks. But it's hard to know anything without, what was said there. Why was a person in fear? Why did they believe a reasonable person would be in fear for their safety, to justify deadly force? Who knows? There's a lot of stuff. What a mess. Okay. So I think I'm going to probably wrap up the show pretty early tonight. It's not going to be super early. We're going to read through the chats that came in and the memberships. Again, channel memberships are a thing, and you're welcome to join. There will be a cooking stream, I think, this coming week. And right now there's a poll for members who are out there. They can participate, and it's on the community page. And the current thing winning is a tomahawk ribeye, so that's fun. So it looks like that's probably what I'll end up cooking for you guys. And yeah, but the cooking streams will be open to Discord, which would be New Project 2 and Patreon, as well as channel subscribers. Again, some people have asked me if channel subscriptions will have access to the Discord. I'll say two things on that. Right now, YouTube does not have an easy way to implement that, for one. And for two, if they were, the only way I could do it would be with $10 channel subscriptions, just because of the nature of how much YouTube takes, if that makes sense. So, again, if you guys want to join on YouTube, that's entirely up to you. I'm going to try and make it add value. But if you want access to the Discord itself, the best way to do that still is Patreon or New Project 2. So there's that. What else is coming? Oh, I have reached out to a couple people for the Second Amendment stream. I have 2 tentative guests. It will likely not be next week, but it would be the next week. That makes sense. One of my guests is not available next week, but it would hopefully be the week after, maybe hopefully early in the week, maybe Monday or something like that. Monday or Tuesday even. The guests that I'm courting are solid guests, very, very solid guests. It'll be a very good panel on red flag laws, Second Amendment issues in general, where the courts are going with it, where the legislature is going with it, what it means for the law, what it means for, we've got, some opinions from people who are non-lawyers as well. It should be great. It should be great. So, Repzilla, hey man, yes, I will be covering the Onesian lawsuit. How you doing, buddy? It's been a while. It's been a long time. I'm gonna cover it. I gotta research it. Maybe we could chat sometime. Because I bet you know more about the situation than me. So I would love to talk about that. If you got some time for some DMs, man, I'll send you one on Twitter, because it's been too long. But yes, I will be covering that as soon as I can wrap my head around that nonsense. But Truck and Bear says, how the hell do you live here? I'm in Mankato and currently have a shot icicle. I'm from Ohio and it gets cold, but not this cold. Dude, it is brutal. Brutal. It is absolutely horrifying living in this state. And apparently tomorrow is a snow day. It's going to just dump snow all day, so I can't wait. Oh, yeah, the naughty bot says, what happened to that cop that straight up iced the guy lying on the floor, complying to orders in Arizona a couple years ago? I think it was in Arizona. Yeah, the La Quinta. Daniel Shaver is the guy, I believe, who got killed. Is that Daniel Shaver? Yeah, Daniel Shaver. What happened to the cop? Well, the cop was not prosecuted. He was fired, but I believe he was rehired after that. So it was great. Good job. so good times. Good times were had by all. Yeah, all right, Rep. I look forward to it, man. We'll talk to you then. Oh my God. So anyway, let me wrap up the stream with some chats. I will be on Twitch in just a few minutes. Again, I apologize for being late today, but well, I'm late every day. You guys know. You guys know how it goes. You guys know how it goes. Yeah, remember, when cops are the ones with the guns, everything's fine. You don't need one because the cops have them. I love that argument. I will play the outro, but there's still some chats to go through, so let's do that. Remember, tomorrow will be a live stream focusing primarily on the Vic situation. I may or may not have a guest. I'll announce it if I do or don't. I'll let you know what's going on. I just have not decided how to format that to really talk about it. What way I want to talk about this suit. It's going to be, or talk about the past year of this suit and drama and everything. I'm really just torn on how to do it. So I'll be hopefully spending my snow day putting together a good show for you. So yeah, I am going to do some Dark Souls. Justin and oh, Ken, I owe you a phone call. Damn it. I will talk to you tomorrow, Ken. How's that? Because I'll have time. So, you might want to check a 15-minute-old retweet from Zero Resurrection on Twitter. Oh no. What am I looking at here? Oh, this is okay. I'll have to take a look. Thanks. That's in relation to the Onision thing. Yeah, I'll check that out later. Oh boy. If you've got time for Dark Souls, you've got time for a phone call. I don't know if I have time for Dark Souls. I'm drinking this Cloud Splitter whiskey, which is really good. Like, at first it's tough. It's harsh. It's got a heavy whiskey flavor. The malt is heavy. Very in your face. It's only aged 2 years. Didn't have much time to mellow. But like most harsh whiskeys, it grows on me pretty quick. So, all right. So check the. Anyway. Oh, I hope you guys saw. Someone had proposed a hypothetical movie being made about the case. Their cast list was entirely incorrect. I corrected that on Twitter. So if you want to see my proposed cast list for the actors to play the people in the film of the Vic Mignogna lawsuit or whatever, you can go check Twitter. And I did go ahead and put that. I did go ahead and put that updated cast list on there. So, yeah. Are there any other YouTubers that we know going to Kitchener? I don't know. So, all right, let's read these chats, wrap up the show, and then I'll move over to Dark Souls, where I don't belong, and we'll do there. We'll do that. Who did I have? Someone said Jamie Markey as Rebel Wilson. No, I have Rosie O'Donnell playing Jamie Markey. I don't know why you would think Rebel Wilson the Aussie accent would just mess everything up. I have Rosie O'Donnell as Jamie Markey, Kathy Bates as Monica Rial, which I thought you need someone with severe acting chops to pull off a Monica Rial, and Kathy Bates just sells me on it. For Mars Girl, I have literally any orangutan, which literally any of them. You just find an orangutan, and then that can play Mars Girl. For Ron Toye, I thought his essence. Now, this is a diversity cast, and I'm going to be upfront. This is like so many modern properties. We've got a diversity casting for Ron Toye. I thought the cast of this was a little bit too monochromatic. So Bobby Brown, who's not been active lately, but used to be active a whole lot on Whitney Houston. I think he may have wielded a remote or two in his day. He is playing Ron Toye, Bobby Brown. Jay Sean Lemoyne could be played by a stupider whoopee cushion. On slut. And then the other person that they have, literally, who is that? I have no idea who that person is. So I don't know why we would hire anyone to act as that person. And then they proposed someone for Vic, but I just cast Vic as himself since he's the only one on the list who can act. He would be the only person on there who should probably be in the movie. But so there you go. That was my thing. You guys are welcome to go in there and propose additional talent to the pool that I selected. Just watch out. If Jamie and or Monica were to jump into that pool, it will be empty very quickly. I do not want to stream Dragon Ball Kakarot at all. Dead Snake 989, you should look up Bobby Brown. Okay. All right. Back to it. We've got Bad Dragonite says, "Hey Nick, not to be a downer, but I found out earlier the first guard to train me on the job died of liver disease caused by drinking and other issues. May seem weird, but will you pour one out for her? She'd get a good laugh out of that." Sure. I got some Cloud Splitter left in here. To her. May her liver recover in the afterlife. Kay says, "Have you heard about the MLB cheating scandal going on?" No. Turns out the 2017-2018 World Series were won by total cheaters. Absolutely wild how sports organizations think they can get away with shit like that. They can. They do constantly get away from it. Here's the really crazy thing is, why do we care? Like, this is the funny thing about cheating. What's the problem with cheating in sports from yes, there's a problem with cheating in a contest, right? Why does the US government care about cheating in sports? There's only one reason that, yes, it's about honor, but honor is a game for common folk, not for governing bodies, right? What do we care about the integrity of baseball that we have Congress involving in it? Bets. Even though gambling is the worst thing, it's largely illegal. Most states, the problems with gambling. Oh, gambling's a sin, blah, 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 blah. But man, with sports, and they suddenly care a lot. Why? Who cares? One team had an unfair advantage over the other. Okay, that's a marketing problem. That's not a legislative problem. That's a marketing problem. My private business. Exactly. My private business everywhere else except sports ball. If it's a big enough sports ball, then Congress cares because Vegas cares. That's amazing to me. Like, why don't they just admit that they like gambling? That'd be fine. Then it all makes sense. Sorry, gambling, bruh. That's why we're doing this. But they don't say it that way. It's like it's about integrity. Who cares? Like, we don't care about integrity in 99% of the businesses that we have, so long as they're not violating a law about doing business, which is pretty hard to do. But anyway, I just hate that. Like, oh, we gotta stop the steroid problem in baseball. Why? I want swole dudes swinging that bat. I want guys who see the ball coming faster than I see it being pitched, swinging the bat. I want. Remember in Starship Troopers when they're playing that football variant and like people are like stiff arm and someone goes like backflips from a stiff arm and they're like leaping over people, all this stuff. They're like superhuman playing this dumb game. That's what I want. I want so many roids and performance enhancing drugs that they perform at an inconceivable level. I want transhuman sports. And I don't mean transgender sports. I mean, I want Space Marines out there. I want the funniest MMA thing where one hit kills. Like, that's what I want to see. I want it to descend to that level. Because we're all pretending we don't want that, and we're all pretending we don't have that. That's the crazy thing. NFL Blitz. No, I want Mutant League, baby. Mutant League. No, I don't want Cyborg. Well, no, cyborgs are part human. Yeah, I do want that. Rowboat versus Mirari. Real cyborg, not juiced up cyborg. Yeah, we don't want any performance enhanced cyborgs here. Could you imagine like a guy runs and he shoulder tackles, he's got the football and he tackles through someone and it just obliterates their body. Like, it's just poofed out of existence and it's just a mist left behind because of that much force was generated. That'd be great. That'd be great. Anyway. All right, next. But no, I haven't been following the MLB cheating scandal. I don't care that much. Wait, didn't the Astros win one of those 2 World Series? How did they cheat? Now I care. $40K Blood Bowl would be great. If anybody can see it, throw it in the chat. Like, why? What? How are they cheating? I'm just mildly curious about that. Next, TLJ Screwjob says the deaf guy suing Pornhub is like the little blind kid playing football years ago because anyone can do anything. PCBS. Oh my gosh. No, Blood Bowl is Warhammer. I want 40K Blood Bowl. Astros stole signs. They stole signs? Who cares? Like, oh, we got this secret cipher. We stole signs in World War II and we won. No one complained about that. Use cameras to decode signs, then beat trash can, whisk or clap to indicate pitches. Okay, so you can decode their cipher. Why is that cheating? How is there cheating involved in being able to figure out the other side's signs? stolen somatic components. Oh my God. They were using technology and cell phones. No, not technology and cell phones. Baseball is, I can't stand it. Baseball is the most antiquated and weird sport that we do. It is so strange that baseball is like more archaic than anything else. We have all these weird traditions. Like the Major League, they made fun of it when the guy's like doing all the stupid signs like all over his face for 20 minutes to call out one thing. Basketball mocked it so horrendously that it was great. Like, they use technology to steal our signs. Zoom lenses on cameras. Oh, whew. It took them till now to figure that out. It took them, that's the saddest part. It took them till now to figure it out. More the signaling the guy at bat is the issue to baseball more. But you can signal the pitcher. Why can't you signal the guy at bat? Why do you get to... Why do you get to signal? Well, but look, we only want the defensive team in this situation signaling. Don't tell the guy who's trying to defeat them what the strategy is. That would be just ludicrous. We want them to have a strategy and him to be going in blind. It's American tradition. Don't own the traditions of baseball. Like, baseball is a weird sport. Like, it's great that it's a tradition, but it's a weird set of traditions. And if it's an American tradition, then why are Central Americans better at it than most Americans? Oh my God. Oh my gosh. No, I didn't think it was your thing. I'm just dying. Like, it's the funniest thing. So many people care about this stuff, and I never do. What I like about sports, and I don't watch much, what I like about sports is when somebody on the screen does something that I think is impossible, right? I was watching football. I was hanging out with my dad, and so we were watching football because my dad watches football or baseball or basketball. That's just that's how he is, which is great. I don't care about any of these things, but I will sit and watch them. And I'm watching these guys do, like leaning back, one-handed catches, wall jumping, pulling the ball in and stuff like that. It's amazing. It's fantastic. And I'm like, yeah, if that were me, like the ball would bounce out of my hand, or they break like 5 tackles and they run in. I'm like, if that were me, I'd be in a hospital. Great. That's what I want to see. I don't care if they steal signs. I don't care that the NFL guys are standing like this and we're gonna call a play. We're gonna call a play here. Okay, here's a play. Here's a play. Why do they get a mic that goes directly into the quarterback's helmet so he gets to hear stuff? Like, I don't get it. I don't get any of that, but that's what it is. But I don't care about that. All I care about is watching the physical achievement happen on the field. And I don't really care who wins, but like that part of it that's the fascinating part to me. So like when I hear cheating, I'm like, what is this? And then to find out it's like, oh, they watched a person do the signs. They saw the same sign for curveball about 55 times. They figured it out. That's an outside curveball. There you go. Do soccer next. The thing I hate about soccer is the flopping. Man, I hate that more than anything. Because I've seen like some of the nastiest stuff, some nasty hits in soccer, some pretty gross injuries. And then the guys, like, because you can't sub people out. Like, I saw a guy in one World Cup, and he clashed heads with a guy. So he's got a big gash on his head, and they just pull him over the sideline. They pull out a stapler. They just staple the skin on his head back together, and he went back in the game like 5 minutes later. That is manly as hell. And then that same World Cup was the Italian flopping World Cup, right? These guys were flopping all over the place, and it became a meme that was so bad. And like the guy Zinedine Zidane headbutt, which may have even been the same World Cup. Like that headbutt made that guy levitate off of his feet before falling. So obviously it was fake. Like he got hit in the chest, and this guy, it looked like he got hit by a breaching round in a first-person shooter, right? He launches. It's like, come on, that's not real. It's not real. Got it. Anyway, I just yeah. I hate it because I actually like soccer. I love playing soccer. It's the only sport I've ever been anything better than bad at, and that's about it. Better than bad, but I enjoy playing it. But man, I hate the flopping in it. But whatever. You like golf? I love golfing. I don't like watching golf. Man, watching golf is like hiring Jack Kevorkian and he's late. It's like, please end it. Please, Jack. Anyway, okay. Back to the chats and stuff. Shining Nebula. And Craig Litton, thank you for joining up to the channel. I appreciate that very much. Some Nobody says, that's the way to go. Get out early, sans rest home. In regards to my old classmate, sunsetting at 38 years old. Yeah, there's some merit to that. I was talking with people in my Discord on Live Chat Wednesday about rest homes and just what a monumental cluster those are. Hi, you worked your entire life to build up these things. You probably had the idea that you were going to give all this money to your children. What we're actually going to do is we're going to put you in a rest home. We're going to charge you $6,000-$7,000 a month for a 200 square foot room. And in that 200 square foot room, someone will come in and change your Depends once a day and shove some pills in your mouth and make you chew them. But you won't know if they don't do that, because with your dementia, you won't remember if they showed up to your room at all, actually. So, that's fine. And you won't know if your soup was hot when you got it or if it was already cold, because you won't remember when they brought it. But you'll pay $6,000 a month for that, and that'll be great. No, I hate rest homes. I really do. Lidoc says, Nick, I just watched your Twitch PC build stream. The high school photo of you with the 90s curtain hairstyle while you were holding your cat was killer. Yes, thank you. I know. It's a lady killer too. Trust me. Ghetto TV and Joe Nathan Joestar, thank you for joining. Fred Rush MD says, what's up, buddy? The RLDS is still out here. Freddie, I miss you, man. I'm going to DM you on Discord. I wonder how your competition's going and all that stuff. Hopefully everything's well with you. You're a good dude. You're a good dude, Freddie. You're a good dude. Hopefully I get to see you sometime this year. Solo Beverly and Anthony Doporalski, thank you for joining the channel. I really appreciate that quite a bit. We've got... Where did we go? ED2276 First Amendment /law says, can you give this to Joe? Not easily. I could try. I don't know how to send. I'll see if I could send Joe $1.40 or whatever. Ghetto TV says, does every lawyer have a bookcase in the background? I think so. It's just what you stack it with that matters. Rogue says, question for Joe. Have you ever had a case where the defendant was charged with theft of shoes and battery with TV remotes? Nah, dang it. I wish I would have seen that while it was going. Cody Byer says, since I know you're that perfect mix of busy and forgetful, reminder to check your Twitter DMs. You should have a message from the guy I told you about. I didn't see it when I checked earlier, but I'll go back and recheck. I did look, but I might not have looked well. DCV Titan says, but if Chup ended up on the appeals court, what would he do? Apparently 85% of their work seems to be his cases. Wow, Judge Chup. It's like once you got here, we got less. Just kidding. I don't know that Chup gets actually appealed more or less than any other attorney. But and I'm sorry I didn't tell you guys about Chup's appeal appointment. I learned about it a little while ago, and it's not really relevant to the case. It's just speculation on Ho's mad, right? If Chup was having a bad day, and he seemed to be, my impression in the courtroom was that he was not in a normal, quote unquote, normal state of mind. He seemed either legitimately, he seemed either angry on a substance. I'm not saying an illegal substance. Just something. It could have been, I didn't know what it was, but it could have been liquor or Ritalin or something. He seemed off, right? His presence was weird in the courtroom. So he seemed either angry or on a substance, or I don't know what the other one would be, but something seemed off about it. I said that to the people at the time. I was like, that he didn't seem. It seemed very, very strange. Like it was weird. So maybe that's what influenced it, but it doesn't matter, right? Because it happened. You can't. Even if he was mad, can't undo what occurred in the courtroom. So that's why I haven't really talked about it. I also, I don't know, maybe that didn't affect him at all, but maybe it did. That would have been funny though. Imagine if he had gotten appointed to the appeals court. Oh boy. What a mess that would be. Felipe M says, Nick, but Vic hasn't worked as a VA since Monica and the other cows accused him. No, he has not worked as a VA. Actually, I don't know if that's true. He hasn't worked for a VA at Funimation or at Ruby. I don't know if he had any other VA work. I think he did have some other VA work that I think he finished up JoJo, if I'm not mistaken, after all this stuff happened. So he had some JoJo work, I think, but that's now finished. I don't know. Changus Khan says, hashtag cancel XXX amateur porn. How dare you? How dare you want to capture amateur art? I miss this. Queen Nidus says, thoughts on Dreamers, specifically after the wall talk. I don't know. Dealing with children who don't have the agency to come to make the choice to break the law or not is a weird subject. And I'd have to give a lot of thought on how to deal with it. My main thought is, if the parents broke the law and the kids broke the law, deport the parents and the kids with the parents. I hate to say that because it's weird to send a kid back to a country they've never been to, but it's weird to send their parents back and keep them here too. So that's strange. I don't see why breaking the law, coming into the US and having a child should mean that you didn't break the law and get to stay either. That's also a weird thing. I just have a lot of trouble laying guilt on their shoulders. What to do with people is tough. Bad Dragonite says, have to have Joe back on to ask his favorite chaos god. Oh yeah, that's it. That's a good question. Bad Vibe says, remember to wind your watch next time, Boomer. Sorry. Romeo Garbo says, let's be honest here. Most of this isn't snow. I think you're saying. It's ice. Also, Nick, my name is pronounced like the Shakespearean play character of the same name, just so you know. Thanks. I'm going to call you Romeo instead of Romeo. Vidin the Cold One says, hey, Nick, on Twitch, you say Vidin as Viden. Correct. I'm Viden22, but here you pronounce it with a short I. Bad, Nick. Oh, yeah. Why do I do that? I'll call you Viden the Cold One from now on. I probably just... I don't know. That's weird. GR People says, you should be streaming the new Dragon Ball Z game so you can enjoy the voice acting. No. I'm just not interested. Funimation has killed Dragon Ball for me. I still haven't even watched the Broly movie. I just can't. Racket's Antediluvian IT Skills says, cast Blue Whale, Frumpy Pumpkin, Mr. Ed, and a shovel. Rural says, Ike Turner could probably do a good Ron. Oh, brutal. Chengiz Khan says, so would you play yourself in the movie, Nick? Also, who would play Chup the Chump? No, Joseph Gordon-Levitt or whatever would play me, probably. I'm kidding. No, I guess I'd play myself. Who would play Chup? I mean, I think Keanu Reeves is the ultimate Chup. But Keanu Reeves doing his young self where he doesn't know what he's doing or where he is. Whoa. Like the old great thing there. TLJ Screwjob says, remotes aren't Ron Toye's prerogative. Truckin' Bear says, I see Ron as more of a Chris Brown than Bobby Brown. Yeah. Chris Brown. You know that story is like more complicated than he just punched Rihanna, right? Like from what I've heard, she like took the keys out of the car, threw them outside, and was like hitting him with her stiletto or something like that. I don't know. All right. Unbeknownst X says, LMAO, what did I walk into? A disaster. Trash Town TV says, hey, Nick, you have the best audience ever. I love chatting with the folks tonight. Truly a great experience. Hey, chat, love you guys. I agree. I love the chat. Chat always wins, and the chat is great. Bad Dragonite. Gotta have cyber athletes juiced up on diesel. Scott Manuel says, first super chat. Hey, thank you. So if you like baseball, we've got to take you to a 5-day cricket test match. I would want to go to a cricket match just because the crowds are so big and it just seems like such a spectacle for such a horrendously unintelligible sport. To me, I don't get it. Is the chat Chad? Yes. The Chad chat versus the virgin streamer. Where's that mean? Hannah, the Mad Black daughter, says, MBR, the Mad Black rapist, took advantage of me too. Oh my God, no. Come on. Oh no. Romeo Garbo says, you have been boomer. I've been calling you Romeo. Sorry, I know a Romeo. So I'm going to call you Romeo from now on. I'll try and remember. Howling Warwolf says, it's been a year since I discovered your channel, which I came across looking at Chris Chan related content. Oh, Chris Chan. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm glad Chris Chan could bring us together. Mike Testa says, see it somewhere else. Funny gave it the old DVD BS. Yeah, I heard the British Blu-ray was a better cut than the American one. Pixlexia says, Rihanna should have dated a Cleveland Brown instead of Chris Brown. Cleveland Browns don't beat anybody. Oh God. Who would play Shane? I don't know. Just find a homeless person off the street who tried to groom a minor. Seems like an adequate fit. All right, guys. That's the show for tonight. We've got, we do have, I mentioned this yesterday. I'll re-mention it again. I do have the documents for Russell Greer's criminal case back when he was in high school. And we'll be doing a show on those very soon, next week sometime. I believe I'm going to say this and it's going to be wrong or something. Next week I will have Mikel Casanova on. He's a good dude. I met him at HawaiiCon, and I've been wanting to have him on the show for a while. I've been bad at booking guests lately, and so I think he'll be on at some point in the very near future. And he, of course, had some people have been talking about him as he had tried to interview Amanda Wynn Lee, but she found out that he had the audacity to interview Vic at HawaiiCon, a place where they both happened to be, and because he interviewed him, he received some sort of issues from her. I still have the lips, yes. Who plays Ty? I don't know. Who do you guys think should play Ty? Paul Giamatti as Shane would actually be a well-cast role, I think. Nick Offerman would be a good Ty. Yeah. I like that. You play Ty? I will play Ty. There you go. Kermit the Frog should play Ty. Well, you see here, Your Honor, we do have the tweets. If you just give me a moment. Overruled. 'Cause, move on. No. Move on. Samuel L. Jackson plays Ty. Kevin James should play his Ty. That'd be good. Dear God. Mike Testa says, just turn the subs on. We'll discuss dub later. Yeah. Oh, God. Dan Aykroyd is Ty. That'd be a good one. Steven Seagal should be Ty. Came here. You poisoned our land. And now I'm suing you for tortious interference. What does this have to do with a convention? Oh, God. Let me get out my guitar. Mike Testa says John Lovitz is Jim. Oh, God. Fantastic. Howling Warwolf says Ty should play Barry Burton in a Resident Evil movie. Adrian Brody to play me. Same nose. Okay, I'll take it. Eddie Murphy plays everyone. No, he'd have to be accompanied by Arsenio Hall. Arsenio Hall would have to play the women or whatever. Oh my gosh. You guys are too much. Doug TenNapel is 8.5 feet taller than Ty. That wouldn't work. Who plays Drexel? John Jones. John Malkovich has the chat. Judge Chup, you are unlikable. Robert Downing Jr. is me? Oh no. Nick Cage should play me. That'd be a mess. Mike Testa says NBA played Bill Cosby. Come on! No! Actually, though, look up a picture of Bobby Brown. I think NBA might play Bobby Brown. Oh boy. Goodness gracious. All right, guys. I need to get out of here. I will be over on bring the energy over to Twitch. We are so close to passing Maddox on Twitch. Twitch. Let's see where we are. I'm at 7,400 followers even on Twitch. TV. Let me get real Maddox. Real Maddox is at 7,441. I'm a mere 42 followers away on Twitch from surpassing Maddox. So come join, come follow on Twitch. Doesn't cost you anything to follow other than your soul and your ad dollars and all of that stuff. And yeah, there you go. Mike Testa says played by Bill, not playing Bill. Why not both, really? Angry Baneling says get on Twitch already, Boomer. You were leading me astray yesterday, Angry Baneling. Mike Testa says Robert Downey plays Drexel. And Mr. DJ Fly High says Bill Burr as Jay Sean Lemoyne. No, I think you might have to pick who played Hans Gruber and Severus Snape? That guy could play Jay Sean. I know it's not Angry Bainley. Alan Rickman. There you go. But Alan Rickman now, not Alan Rickman while he was alive, right? Alan Rickman while he was alive would not be a good Jay Sean. I just thought he might have similar lung capacity now. That's why I picked him. I know he died. That's the joke. Who plays Lady Rackets? No one can play Lady Rackets. She's great. All right, guys. Let's hit that outro. Let me crank this volume down a little bit. There we go. Ishalson says Kristen Stewart for Ron Perlman for Nick. Nick Hex says smoking lady with a neck hole as Jay Sean. The chick from Beetlejuice with the stoma. I forgot that lady existed. Yes, perfect. Oh my gosh. Mike Testa says Joaquin is Jim now with black pilled rant. Oh my goodness. All right, guys. So this is the end of the show. Thank you all for hanging out. I really appreciate it. I will be on tomorrow. We will have some sort of 1-year anniversary stream of some sort. I don't know if I have a guest or multiple guests, or it'll just be me solo. But in some way, we will be discussing the Vic Mignogna drama 1 year out from when it started, and we're gonna dedicate the whole show to it, be shilling the GoFundMe and all of that stuff, and that'll be that. So yeah, we'll figure it out. Mike Testa says Sargon as Murray. Bill Murray? Or like Murray from the Sesame Street or whatever. Who had a little lamb who has a little bow or whatever. Anyway. I should invite other ICM with Vic YouTubers on for the stream. I'll think about it. Joker Murray. Oh. Gotcha. So Robert De Niro's character. All right. get EVS and your boy Zach on here sometime? I'd love to. All right, guys. I'm gonna blank out the screen. I'll see you over on Twitch in just over a minute. Talk to you guys soon. Peace. Peace. Oh, you guys. Dang it. Just a normal bottle of mustard says, supposed to get a 1/4 inch of ice tomorrow. Take my money in case I crash. Lol. Thanks. Thanks, pal. And then Moist John says, what golf courses do you go to? Mostly the ones around the Wilmer area. Just I don't golf very often. Although I did get some clubs not too long ago. So, but you know, I'd play anywhere. So anywhere in the state that I could get to. Anyway, talk to you guys later. Peace. Peace. Also, I really suck at golf.